We have breaking news, guys. The Epstein files are finally being released. Finally being released. This has been such a clown show on these Epstein files. Absolutely ridiculous. And I'm glad to see that this is finally happening. I didn't think this was going to happen. Honestly, I stopped caring about it. But now, here we are. We finally have the Epstein files finally being released. This has been such a huge L for Trump in handling the Epstein case, even if he might not be involved, which there is no evidence of any wrongdoing from Trump. He still handled this very, very poorly, and this may actually hurt him in the primaries, later on, in the future here. But, definitely this releasing the Epstein files actually, in the end, has absolutely cooked the Democrats. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what's going on here.
We do have some major breaking news as we come on the air tonight because President Trump has now signed the Epstein Files bill into law, the final step to force the Justice Department to turn over everything it has on Epstein within the next 30 days. Part of the president's lengthy statement, I'll read it here, where he said, quote, Jeffrey Epstein, who was charged by the Trump Justice Department in 2019, not the Democrats, with an exclamation point, was a lifelong Democrat and donated thousands of dollars to Democrat politicians and was deeply associated with many well-known Democrat figures.
This man made an essay, bro.
The president goes on to write, perhaps the truth about these Democrats and their associations with Jeffrey Epstein will soon be revealed because I have just signed the bill to release the Epstein files. Trump says, as everyone knows, I asked Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune to pass this bill in the House and the Senate. That, of course, came after he fought the bill, but he concluded with, this latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats just as all of the rest have. Thank you all for your attention to this matter. Of course, this is the bill that the president spent months trying to kill. He has now taken credit for its...
Absolutely. Like I said, he handled this very, very poorly. He denied releasing, not denied, but he kept refusing to release the files. Even though the last administration, the Biden administration, also did not release the files whatsoever, right? They had the files for 4 years, never released them, right? But apparently now that Trump is in office, now they're telling Trump to release the files. Like what? Oh, Trump's in the files. Trump's a pedophile. Trump's a predator, right? But why didn't you release the files during Biden's administration, right? But still, at the same time, like Trump also handled this very poorly, calling it a hoax, right? When really what he was meaning to say was that the Democrats ploy their propaganda piece that he's involved and that he's a predator that was also doing things with underage kids, underage children, referring to as the hoax. But the way he worded it made it seem like the whole case is a hoax. So that was poorly worded, right? That was very poorly worded. And then also he was not trying to release the files, claiming that it can hurt people who are not really involved, which the people do not care about that. Release the files. Release the files. Whoever's involved, we do not care. If you're involved, lock them up. Charge them. They need to be held accountable. It doesn't matter if it's the president of the United States. Hold them accountable, right? So this has been a huge L. Huge L. But the Democrats are taking the biggest L from this.
Passage on Capitol Hill after it became clear that it was going to pass at least the House. While it's a moment that so many of Jeffrey Epstein's survivors that you've heard from here on this show have waited so long for, it is notable the president did not mention the women who fought for this bill's passage in his post tonight. The fact also that the president didn't take the opportunity to sign it today before cameras is notable given how many bill signings and executive orders he has regularly turned into lengthy Oval Office events and press conferences.
Really?
We did hear from the Attorney General on
the president didn't sign the bill to release it right away. Really?
This matter earlier. Pam Bondi was asked multiple times how her department plans to handle this process of turning over these materials to Congress, given the massive amount of data on Epstein that the Justice Department has. The
Does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released.
Pam Bondi is so trash. She needs to be replaced. She needs to be replaced. She needs to get fired. Replace this retard. She is absolute trash. I don't know why Trump picked her. She's been an absolute disaster. Her and Kash Patel. Replace these two, the head of the fucking FBI. Like, they have not done shit.
Over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency.
What are you doing here over the next 30 days?
Nothing.
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
They keep on with the same thing. We're going to try to protect the victims. Who cares, bro? Release the files. Stop worrying about victims, bro. Stop worrying about the victims. Release the goddamn files.
When you say follow the law, Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Bro.
Now, Attorney
And
General,
she getting frustrated with it, but it's like, why are you getting frustrated when you're sitting here giving bullshit answers?
he declined to give any explanation on how the plan to follow the law is any different from what the department has been doing already, especially given it was just 2 months ago when the FBI director told Congress this about those same Epstein files in their possession.
We have released where Mr. President Trump's name's in the Epstein files and everybody else, and all credible information that we are legally allowed to release has been released. Pursuant to Mr. Acosta's collection of information based on the search warrants, that's all we have in our possession.
And I'm asking you, that stuff.
That's all we got. We are releasing.
You're an FBI, but you don't have all the information. Like this is what, bro. Replace this dude. Replace him. Like he has not done shit. Like literally, absolutely. Like, dude is, bro. I don't.
Is legally allowed. We are providing everything we can legally provide.
The Attorney General did try to explain why, just months after her department declared that there was no evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. She announced those very investigations that President Trump demanded last week.
What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information. There's information new information, additional information, and again, we will continue.
Oh, now there's new information. There's new information after, the president kept calling it a hoax, that, the whole thing that the Democrats are doing is a hoax, which he was referring to them trying to, catch him in a gotcha, that's a hoax. But like how he was referring it was like, oh, this whole entire Epstein thing is a hoax. It's a hoax. It's a hoax. And then he turns around and it's like, oh, well, now we're going to investigate it. But you kept saying like this was a hoax. But now you're going to turn, like, see how you word it and how you say things to the public, to the world. You know what I mean? You have to say things a certain way. And it's just like, when you say it like that's how people run with it and create all these crazy, stories and shit like that.
Follow the law to investigate any leads.
That would seem to differ from what the president has been saying over the course of the last few months, as his team has been trying to make the entire Epstein saga go away.
It's really a Democrat hoax. It's a Democrat hoax. It's just a hoax. The whole Epstein thing is a Democrat hoax.
Yeah, see, that right there. See, he caught that right there. The way he says the shit, he literally said the whole Epstein thing is a hoax. But you can't say it like that and then turn around and be like, oh, now we're going to investigate it.
Epstein hoax. I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring.
The whiplash over Trump, Bondi, and Patel's hyping and then downplaying and then hyping again the Epstein investigations is even being felt by some of the president's biggest supporters in MAGA.
I wouldn't be surprised.
A hoax. And then all of a sudden, he's going to release the files. Well, I thought there was no files.
Man,
He wants an
Absolutely.
investigation now.
listen.
Like, what is going on?
This is the end of the Trump administration. This is the beginning of the lame duck presidency. It's obvious to everyone he will trail off. He will get older. He's going to he's adorned the White House in gold. Epstein's going to suck the oxygen out of a lot of this.
I want to start tonight with CNN's senior justice correspondent, Evan Perez, who is among those questioning the Attorney General today. And Evan, I think she said multiple times they're going to follow the law. What stood out to you being inside that room today with Pam Bondi?
I think,
Of course, this is what CNN does, though. Like, they are absolutely against Trump, so they're going to show everything that's like polarizing against Trump.
the whiplash that they are feeling in that building, because they really have stuck their necks out to try to defend the president, in the sense that they've gone out and they said there's nothing to see here, we've closed the books, and then they were trying to persuade members of Congress. You reported this, right? Lauren Boebert and among others.
To strong-arm them.
Yes, that's another way to say it. But certainly they were there to persuade them to say, look, if there's stuff you want to see and for us to brief you on, we're here to do that. And then, the president goes out and says, we want a new I want another investigation. And they do that. And then he sort of pulls the rug from out of under them on Sunday by saying, okay, now vote for this bill that he was using the Justice Department all along to try to fight. So they are feeling the whiplash, and now they're kind of left in a very difficult place. Pam Bondi is now, obviously there is an investigation, and so she has to navigate how to release documents within those 30 days so that they're going to comply with the law, but also satisfy the rules that are, you cannot release documents that may be relevant to an ongoing investigation.
Well, and so the president signed it today. 30 days from today would be December 18th. And so do we have any idea what the Justice Department's game plan is in terms of what they're going to release if they have more than 300 gigabytes of data and material?
Well, one of the things that we know is that some of the documents have already been redacted.
And I feel like they're still not going to release everything. I still feel like they're not going to release everything.
So, for instance, to remove the names of victims, anything that would harm victims has already been done.
They need to stop with this victim shit. Stop trying to protect the victims. Just release the files, bro. Stop this. Stop this, bro. This is aggravating.
The big question is, can they release documents related to some of the uncharged people who associated with Epstein, but who are not accused of any wrongdoing? There is a law that is supposed to protect their privacy, and so that's kind of the big difference here. Some of the documents, the kind of things that you saw this week that were released by the Democrats, right? And obviously Larry Summers is an example of what happens. Those people still associated with Epstein, even though he had been convicted in Florida, continued to communicate with him. They're not accused of any wrongdoing. And so now all of those communications, I think, are fair game to be released.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I think
Yes,
Mike Johnson
bro.
was
They're fair game. Like, release them. Victims, doesn't matter. Release them.
the leading voices saying that other people could get swept up in this, potentially just be embarrassed by this. I mean, Larry Summers, it's reporting tonight he's not going to be teaching at Harvard anymore while he's under investigation.
Oh, he's not going to be teaching at Harvard.
But, I mean, that is exactly what the president is pointing to, and he's
What a
very
coincidence.
close tonight as he's saying, this is going to be way worse for Larry Summers and for Democrats than for me. I mean, he seems to want that information to come out.
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't know, because there's got to be, there are going to be mentions of President Trump in these additional documents. We know that is actually one of the problems here for him. And but the issue is, are there other
It really shouldn't be a problem for him if he doesn't have any wrongdoing. Shouldn't be a problem for him.
Have not been credibly accused of any wrongdoing, and do their lives get upended in that? And you could argue, right, that if you knew he was a convicted sex offender and you continued to associate with him, then what happens, you knew also what would happen eventually.
Yeah. Evan Perez, thank you for that reporting. We'll see what the Justice Department does now that 30-day clock is ticking.
Wow. So, the Epstein files finally releasing. Finally releasing.
I would say it's like having another producer in the room that knows exactly what your song means. This is co-produced.
So So, the Epstein files finally releasing. DOJ moves to unseal Epstein grand jury transcripts after new transparency law. The U.S. Department of Justice filed an expedited motion on November 21st, 2025, to unseal grand jury transcripts from 2005 and 2007 probes into Epstein's activities in Florida's Southern District. This follows President Trump's signing of the bipartisan Epstein Files Transparency Act on November 19th, which requires the release of unclassified records, including investigative files, flight logs, and details on Epstein's 2019 death, by December 19th, overriding prior secrecy rules while allowing limited redactions for victim privacy. The move addresses long-standing public demands for clarity on Epstein's lenient 2008 plea deal and his network, though a group of 28 survivors expressed fears of death threats and blame as the disclosures near. On X, people are celebrating the step toward justice while voicing concerns over potential withholdings that could shield powerful figures. Exactly. We are still worried that the powerful, the rich and powerful, are still going to be protected. They're still not going to be revealed. They're still going to be covered up, right? Everything's not still. In my opinion, I believe they're still not going to release everything, right? I still believe they're not going to release everything, right? We got Eric Doherty, breaking. President Trump and AG Pam Bondi just asked a federal court in Florida to release Epstein transcripts that are currently sealed. The filing comes barely 2 days after Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The DOJ is now arguing the new law overrides a law that allowed these documents to remain sealed. Huge backfire on the left. And then we have the document here, United States expedition motion to unseal grand jury transcripts and modify protective order, right? At the direction of Attorney General, the Department of Justice files this expedited motion asking the court to unseal the grand jury transcripts and to modify any protective order associated with the grand jury investigations referenced above. So this is definitely a document here to unseal the Epstein files in Florida, right? Breaking, House Oversight Committee believes Trump engaged in wide cover-up of Epstein files. Of course. We have Anna Kasparian, we have Josh Hammer, and we also have Alan Dershowitz. We have two lefties eating each other here on this video, with a conservative here. So let's take a look and see what's going on.
Anyone who's framing this as a partisan issue, and I will concede that corporate media, legacy media, they're hyper-focused on some made-up partisan angle here. This is not about partisanship. This is about justice for the survivors, and it's about knowing whether or not we have disgusting pedophiles governing us in the government.
Respond to that, Alan, and then I'm going to move us on.
Sorry, I have to say something. You sound just like Joseph McCarthy. We have pedophiles running our government.
Okay,
we
sure.
have imposition of authority. That's what Joseph McCarthy did. I have a list of pedophiles who are running
Lefty Democrats eating each other alive. Love to see it.
America. You are a McCarthyite. You are the worst violator of due process. You are exactly what this country has to be afraid of. Shame on you.
This brings me exactly.
I was more afraid of a guy who signs up to be the defense attorney for said pedophile, the guy who in 2018 provided legal counsel and advice to Harvey Weinstein. It is interesting. Has there been a convicted, pedophile or a bad actor that you haven't signed up to defend? I think your credibility on this matter is lacking.
For me, this whole Epstein mess is probably ranks somewhere between the 40th and 50th most important issue, if that I care about. The median American does not give a crap about this. I am sorry to say that is just
That's not what the polling indicates.
Cares about cost of living, cares about.
Here's kind of right. A lot of Americans literally stopped giving a fuck about the Epstein files because of how retarded this shit has gone.
inflation. They care about affordability. They care about paying for their mortgages. They care about not having to make a trade-off in the local supermarket between chickens and eggs when you get to the cashier to pay for their groceries. They care about the cost of housing. They care about immigration. They care about crime.
They care about both.
They care about a million other things rather than this.
Why
this
would Trump
horrific
feel
pedophile
pressure to
scandal.
release the files if there isn't overwhelming? There's a groundswell of support in releasing the files, both on the left and the right. This is one of the very rare issues in this country that has brought both sides of the political aisle together.
Let's just see the shit. So Josh Hammer says his piece, and then the two dummies who were just fucking fighting with each other now are teaming up. Are like, now they're all attacking the conservative together. Like, this is crazy.
And Anna is saying that because Anna does this for a living. She's just talking and commentating for a living. There are people in the punditry and in the commentary class.
So do you. What do you do for a living, Josh?
I never
This
done
is
that.
cinema,
But what
bro.
I'm saying is
The fact that a Mossad agent who was also working for Ehud Barak stayed for weeks at a time on multiple occasions at Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan apartment. There are too many connections that have been confirmed between Epstein and the Israeli government. And that is what people are pointing to, not the fact that he wore like an IDF t-shirt one day.
Josh, go ahead. What do you make of it?
Epstein had connections to numerous foreign governments. He was deeply well connected with the British government, with MI5. He was also very connected with the United States. And while we're kind of on the topic of just throwing out completely unvetted conspiracy theories, let me suggest one alternative.
It's not unvetted. It's all in the documents that have been released. Check out Drop Site News. Drop Site
I'm going to
News.
throw it out there as an alternative conspiracy while we're going to La La Land here. Why don't we consider the possibility while we're going down this path that maybe Jeffrey Epstein was actually a CIA asset, given the CIA's longstanding Arabist dispensation, their longstanding hostility to Israel. Maybe that Jeffrey Epstein actually was trying to entice Ehud Barak and other Israeli officials, then trying to blackmail and discredit the Israelis so as to further the CIA's generally pro-Arab orientation over the course of the past 40 years. I don't actually believe that.
Oh my God, Josh, you're hilarious. You're hilarious.
I don't.
Mossad, CIA, same.
Because I don't do conspiracy theories.
Same.
I'm like,
Let him speak. Let him speak. That's ridiculous. Like, lefties, liberals, all crazy retards that just be screaming and screeching like fucking piggies. It's insane. Like, wow. We got another one here, and it says Anna Kasparian obliterates the Shoits and Josh Hammer for trying to downplay pedophilia and Israel's ties to Epstein. Not gonna really get into that there, but let's see. Justin DOJ makes a new attempt to unseal all grand jury records in Florida. We just went over that, right? Breaking: U.S. government says it will hide some names while releasing the Epstein files due to national security concerns. What's your response? My response is stop. Just release the files. Quit with the redaction. Quit with the hiding people's names, right? Just because they're victims or whatever the fuck, or if they're not really involved, we don't care, bro. Just release the files, right? This is just taking extra work, extra time for no fucking reason. Just release the files. Release the files as it is. It's not that hard, but they keep wanting to play around with this case, and it's insane. It's insane, right? So, breaking: Epstein survivors are now receiving death threats due to Epstein files being set for release per Axios. And we have the letter from the 28 survivors. Let's take a look. Thanks to brave supporters in Congress and in the public, we have won one victory: the passage of the bill to release the Epstein files. But we know the battle is far from over. As we approach the release of the files, here is what we are bracing for. Number one, attempts to blame the victims for our own or each other's abuse. Years ago, Epstein got away with abusing us by portraying us as flawed and bad girls. We cannot let his enablers use this tactic to escape accountability. Some of us were neglected children. Some of us were used to recruit other girls our age. These were tactics that Epstein and Maxwell used as they ensnared victims, and they are standard tactics of all sex traffickers. These tactics reflect on them, not on us. Number 2, incomplete disclosures. Other than redacting victim names, we want all the files disclosed. We ask our champions in Congress and in the public to continue fighting to make sure all materials are released, not selected ones. Actually, exactly. Like, we want all the files to be released. Stop bullshitting around, giving us bits and pieces and covering up people's names. Just release the files, bro. Number 3, threats to our physical safety. Many of us have already received death threats and other threats of harm. We are bracing for these to escalate. Crazy how now that the Epstein files are finally actually getting released, they're getting death threats? They're getting death threats for their files being released? Make this make sense. Who are the death threats coming from? I mean, let's think about this here. Where are these death threats coming from? Who's making these death threats for these files being released that everybody wants? Now, somebody definitely doesn't want these files released, right? So, number 4, efforts to pull us apart. We are already hearing efforts to suggest that victims who have reached the age of 18 were not really victims anymore. We denounce this outrageous argument. Yeah, that's absolutely fucking outrageous. That's absolutely outrageous, yo. Some of us were over 18 when we were victimized. Some were vulnerable because of childhood sexual abuse. Some were vulnerable because of poverty. Some of us were assaulted by Epstein and Maxwell and their accomplices, using force, intimidation, and violence. All of us were vulnerable because of life circumstances our young selves faced that were manipulated by Epstein and Maxwell, and for which we were targeted. A 20 or 22-year-old is no match for a forceful and determined pair of hardened, methodical middle-aged predators. We reject any claim that once a girl turned 18, she was fair game. Epstein and Maxwell used predator tactics against us. Their methods varied from girl to girl and young woman to young woman, but the common thread is the devastation their abuse left behind in each of us. Those girls and young women are fully adult women now, and we stand together resolutely against any attempt to divide us. So yes, that's absolutely diabolical. The fact that they are trying to, whoever it is that's trying to downplay this, downplay the victims who have turned 18 and are adults now, and they're trying to say, oh, well, now they should no longer be included because now they're grown adults. So their abuse when they were children no longer matters anymore. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? What kind of bullshit is that? Right? That's insane. We got the 28 victims who signed their names down here. Not all of them have signed their actual names. Some of them have decided to remain anonymous, as you can see here with all the Jane Does, right? So some of them are, remaining anonymous here. But Epstein files finally getting released, guys. Finally getting released, right? And now some new information has came out since Trump has finally decided to sign a bill to release the Epstein files, right? Some Democrats has been exposed that they have taken money from Epstein. So let's take a look. We have Jim Ferguson, UK, with, wow, you actually can't make this up. Hakeem Jeffries stood in front of the cameras and claimed it's a lie. It's a clown show. I never met Epstein. I never took his money. Except the financial records exist. The emails exist. And the transactions are documented. You cannot deny reality, but you can't erase. You can deny reality, but you cannot erase a paper trail. For years, the American people were told that anyone who asked questions about Epstein was a conspiracy theorist. Now, the very people who scream transparency are panicking because their own names are surfacing. What do you know? What do you know? Release the Epstein files. Trump is protecting the pedophiles. Trump is a pedophile. He's part of the Epstein case. He went to the Epstein Island. Trump's not releasing the files. He's protecting the pedophiles. Blah, 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 blah. We're releasing the files now. Oh, don't release the files. I'm in it. Right? The hypocrisy is off the scale. And the louder they shout clown show, the more obvious it becomes who's terrified of the truth. The Epstein files are coming. No more cover-ups, no more double standards. Let's take a look here.
House Oversight Chairman Comer said yesterday on the floor that you had Jeffrey Epstein over for dinner and took money from him back in 2013. This was after he was on the sex offender list. Any comment on that? Will you be holding members accountable regardless of party affiliation if there were any misdeeds related to the Epstein?
Was that a serious question or a serious statement from malignant clown James Comer that I had Jeffrey Epstein over for dinner? That I accepted money from Jeffrey Epstein? What's extraordinary to me about the clown show on the other side of the aisle is that they lie with impunity on things that are objectively verifiable.
He just said lied with impunity. Like you retards do every single day, and you're going to sit here and try to say lying with impunity. The little shit that you do every day. It's insane.
And why do they do that?
Why do you do this?
Because for months.
Like, dude, you're literally lying right now. Like, literally lying. Like, oh my God.
Republicans have been burying the Jeffrey Epstein files. Not Democrats. Our view continues to be the same. We want to make sure.
This dude is a clown.
That
this dude is the clown.
Have asked for, which is full and complete transparency in order to bring about accountability, actually happens. And
you don't want transparency, because if you did, right, why are you fucking denying what has came out on the Epstein files about you taking money from Epstein? You say you want transparency, and then when shit comes out, you're like, you completely deny it. Oh, I know I didn't do that. It's all a lie.
Congress decisively and in a bipartisan way acted yesterday with respect to the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. That's a victory for the survivors and a victory for the American people. And Donald Trump needs to sign that bill into law expeditiously.
Which he did. And you're being exposed. And now y'all are running and hiding like little bitches. It's absolutely a clown show. It's absolutely amazing. This is amazing to see, with the Democrats losing their minds, right? Chuck Schumer received thousands in campaign donations from Jeffrey Epstein. So it's also came out that Chuck Schumer also took money from Epstein, right? He should be expelled from Congress. Schumer is listed by Epstein in names he compiled and sent to himself by email 1 week before his arrest. Wow, look at that. We got names compiled and sent to himself by email 1 week before he oh wow, sent to Chuck Schumer, right? Wow, Chuck Schumer took money from Epstein. Epstein owned Chuck. Chuck should resign immediately. This is from American Tribune. Resurfaced report reveals Chuck Schumer received significant donations from Jeffrey Epstein. Wow. It seems that every single Democrat who has been trying to pin all this shit on Trump, Trump is the pedophile. Trump did stuff on the Epstein Island. Oh, Trump is involved. Trump. Trump is a predator. Well, how the turn have tables. Right? It's crazy. I am sick of pedophile Chuck Schumer running his mouth about President Trump with absolutely no evidence. Here's a picture of pedophile Chuck Schumer on Epstein Island. See, I don't know if this is actually true. No, this is not proven. Right? This is not proven. Right? This is just people sharing, bullshit. Right? So this is more people sharing this, whatever the fuck this is. So I don't know what that is. That's not, you know, that was released like what, a year ago? That was a year ago, a year or two ago, right? So we got crying Chuck's dirty secrets that ages like milk. Between 1992 and 1999, Jeffrey Epstein personally funneled $23,000 into Chuck Schumer's campaigns and fundraising committees. Wait, what? What? That's right. The same Chuck Schumer who says every day, what the hell is Trump? What? What the? I have no idea. Chuck tooled Epstein's dirty money for years. Stayed silent when the plea deal happened in 2008. Never gave a dime back after Epstein got busted trafficking kids. Now lectures the country about billionaire influence and dark money. Senator Schumer kept every penny while Epstein flew politicians to Lolita Island and built his blackmail empire. Chuck wasn't some low-level Dem staffer. He was already Senate Minority Leader material, shaking hands and cashing checks. Tell us again who the real party of the elite pedo protectors is. Return the money, Chuck, or admit you cashed it on child trafficking. Yep, so the Dems are absolutely losing their minds. They're being exposed. Trump has also handled this case very, very poorly. He's taken a huge L from this, and he's absolutely going to feel it in the primaries. He's absolutely going to feel this in the primaries. I believe this is going to hurt him. This has been his major downfall, is handling the Epstein file case, calling it a hoax, when really what he was referring to was the Democrats trying to paint him as the pedophile. He was trying to say that was a hoax. But the way he worded it was saying, like, the whole entire Epstein case is a hoax. And then he comes out and then does a 360 and says, oh, now we're going to launch another investigation into this. I want another investigation. But you kept saying like this, you kept saying it like this whole entire thing was a hoax. So L Trump, right? Double, triple L for the Democrats. They are absolutely getting fried, absolutely obliterated. And we'll see in the next 30 days, or maybe even sooner, because they have also filed to release more Epstein file documents that are sealed in Florida. So we are definitely about to find out more and more information over the next 30 days. And I will gladly be here to see it. Like and subscribe. And thank you so much for following. See you in the next one.